Take a moment before the secretary starts. Our past chairman, Michael Gary, has moved on to greener pastures. Mike's been a tremendous asset to this board for the past years. As we understand it, he had the opportunity to become legal counsel for a rather large corporation, and he's accepted that position. He will definitely be missed by us here, and we'd like to extend to him the best wishes of the board and the entire staff of the office.
Here, here.
Okay?
Yeah.
And now you're going to deal with me, because I'm back. Has the meeting been posted?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, we're now dealing with the special one-day license applications for alcoholic beverages for just beer and wine only, or either one. Paul Lee Regan of Molly K's softball team promotion to be held in the patio area adjacent to 501 Middlesex Street for Friday, June 15th from 2 p.m. to 1 a.m. Also Sunday, June the 17th, Friday, June the 22nd, Saturday, June 23rd, and Sunday, June 24th, all 2 p.m. to 1 a.m. Richard Barry for an event at the American Textile History Museum at 491 Dutton Street, a fundraiser for the History Museum and for the Lowell Sun Charities for Thursday, June 21st, 2007, from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. Corey Belanger in conjunction with the Lowell Folk Festival, July 27th, 28th, and 29th. Mr. Belanger is to be the manager of record and licensee for 3 venues, the first being at the Boarding House Park in front of the Cotton Storehouse on French Street. This would be for Friday, July 27th from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m., Saturday, July 28th from 12 p.m. to 10 p.m., and Sunday, July 29th from 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. The second venue would be the Dutton Street Dance Pavilion for Friday, July 27th from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m., Saturday, July 28th from 12 p.m. to 10 p.m., and Sunday, July 29th from 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. And last, the third venue would be the JFK Civic Plaza at Arcan Drive, Saturday, July 28th from 12 p.m. to 6 p.m., and Sunday, July 29th from 12 p.m. to 7 p.m. Also, there are applications for all alcoholic beverages for special one-day license. Scott Plath for Folk Festival Weekend. There will be an enclosed area in front of 91 Dutton Street at Cobblestones, Friday, July 27th from 6 p.m. to 12 midnight, Saturday, July 28th from 12 p.m. to 12 midnight, and Sunday, July 29th, 2007 from 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. Penny Hammergas of the Worthen Cafe for Folk Festival Weekend, the parking lot at 152 Worthen Street, and a partial closing of Worthen Street. This will be for Friday, July 27th from 2007, and Saturday, July 28th, 2007 from 5 p.m. to 12 midnight each day. And Anna Jabbar of La Barniche for Folk Festival Weekend, Saturday, July 28th, 2007 from 12 p.m. to 12 midnight. This will be an enclosed area on the public way in front of 143 Merrimack Street.
Is Scott Plath here? Once, twice, gone. Is Anna Jabbar here? Stand up with them, okay? If you would, please. Okay. Scott Plath, the record show that Scott Plath is not here. Okay. If you'd all be kind enough just to step to the mic, make sure that mic is on, and introduce yourself for the record.
My name is David Slattery. I'm one of 2 owners of Molly K's Pub, located on 489 Middlesex Street.
Thank you, Dave.
Corey Belanger, Major's Pub.
Thank you, Corey.
Dick Barry, Gazebo Cafe.
Thank you.
Penny Hamorgas, Worthen House Cafe.
Yep. Okay.
Anna Jabbar from La Boniche.
Okay. Have you been before us, Anna?
Yes, not
You
for
have.
the Folk Festival, but for other events.
For other events, okay. You're outside. People are watching. You're in the downtown area. People have a right to live there. I know Molly Kay's out far enough that if people downtown complain, you're in real trouble, okay? But the rest of you are really right in the downtown area, right in the heart of the area. We have to take into consideration our neighbors. You understand this is your license. Your license is to be displayed. Corey, you will have one license, make copies of it, make sure it's visibly displayed right where they're serving, so that if a policeman walks up, the license is right there. They can see it. Does everybody understand that? The license is to be right there. If the license isn't there, I would hope the policeman would shut you down, not listen to, oh, I got to run and get it. No, you're closed, because we're telling everybody, we're not going to tolerate any nonsense this year. The license is to be right there. That's my license, okay? That way it displays the hours open, when you're allowed, and where you're allowed. You're going to have 3 places. You're going to do something that mortal man has tried to do for years, and that's to be in 3 places at once. So whoever you've got in these other 2 spots, you better make sure they understand the responsibility that they're taking on. They're dealing with the folk festival. As a famous police captain used to say, William Taylor, they're not coming down to go to church. They're coming to have a good time. And they can have a good time, but they're not going to have it at the city's expense. Okay? So whoever you have at those other stands while you're moving around, you make sure that they know that they're in charge. They're not the manager of record, but they're in charge. And they're to make sure that the people conduct themselves and the people serving do it responsibly. We want people to come to Lowell. We want to have a great folk festival. We want them to go home and tell their friends about it. We don't need anybody to land in the hospital. Anybody have any questions?
From the police side of the house, we want to make sure that they have an employee at the entrances to make sure no one leaves with alcohol to go to any other part of the event. And that's part of the requirement and agreement that they
Right,
get
but
from the
they've got
folk
all of
festival.
the packet. Yep. Employee right there at the entrance. No one brings anything in, and no one walks out with anything. It's consumed on the site. Okay? Commissioner?
I vote to, make the motion to allow the licenses.
Motion made to allow the licenses. Seconded. All in favor, say yes. Yes. May we not meet again. Okay, next.
Okay. Commission will now take up applications for special events permit for amplified outdoor public entertainment. The first is by Courtney Foley of the Enterprise Bank, this being a customer appreciation cookout with a disc jockey and sound system outside the office of the Enterprise Bank at the corner of Merrimack and Shattuck Streets for Thursday, June 28th, 2007, from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. There will be a rain date of Friday, June 29, 2007.
Is Courtney here? Where? You don't look like Courtney.
No, Courtney's here. I'm Mark Watson from Enterprise Bank as well. Also, Megan Lally McGurl from the bank is here as well. And it's the same thing as we've been doing for the last
Okay.
18 years.
All right, as long as we get somebody from the bank, just stay right there. Next.
Commission also has an application by Scott Plath for live music disc jockey with sound system on the public way in front of 91 Dutton Street for Friday, July 27th, Saturday, July 28th, and Sunday, July 29th, 2007. Penny Hemagas for live music and disc jockey with sound system, the parking lot at 152 Worthing Street, and a partial closing of Worthing Street, and the enclosed outdoor area at 141, 145, 147 Worthing Street. That would be the north side of the Worthing Cafe. Friday, July 27th from 5 p.m. to 12 midnight, Saturday, July 28th from 5 p.m. to 12 midnight, and Sunday, July 29, 2007 from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. Also, the Lowell Festival Foundation Arthur D. Sutcliffe as chairman. This would be for the venues of the Lowell Folk Festival for July 27th to 28th, 29th, 2007. There are 6 venues where there will be amplified sound, music. The Boarding House Park at 40 Front Street, the JFK Plaza at City Hall, Arcan Drive, St. Anne's Churchyard at 8 Kirk Street, the Dutton Street Dance Pavilion at the National Park Service parking lot, and Market Street Stage at 246 Market Street, and last is the Lee Street Stage at the corner of Lee and John Streets.
Okay, did Scott Plath come in? No, okay. Introduce yourself for the record, please.
Mark Watson, Enterprise Bank.
Okay,
Penny Hamorgas, Worthing House Cafe.
okay.
Arthur Sutcliffe, Lowell Festival Foundation.
Okay, thank you. Doesn't look to be like any complications. Everybody seems to be ending at a reasonable time. Midnight is not, no, Courtney, it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I saw 2 p.m. I was thinking at 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to keep the bank open a little late. It all boils down to common sense. There isn't like a license. I mean, Artie, the Folk Festival, you guys have always done a fabulous job. Penny, you got neighbors. You have to understand that we're all living together. We've got to reside in the same community. We don't want people marching on City Hall carrying, people's heads on the end of spears. It doesn't work out too well. Everybody uses common sense prevails, and we'll all have a super great time. Commissioner?
I'll make the motion to allow the event permits.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor say yes. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And may the sun shine on you.
Commission will now take up applications for sidewalk stand permits. Najas Inc., doing business as Angelina's, Bassam and Wendy Ali at 25 Merrimack Street for the Folk Festival weekend, July 27th, 28th, and 29th, 2007. And Corporation 2 by 2003 Inc., doing business as Subway, Anna Barrios, the president, for 254 Merrimack Street for Folk Festival weekend, July 27th, 28th, and 29th.
Okay, Anna, is that you? Okay. Introduce yourself for the record, please.
Hi, my name is Anna Barrios, and I'm the owner of Subway.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Sam Ali from Angelina's.
Okay. How are they handling the insurance on that?
Each has liability insurance with the city.
Of their own?
Of the business they have
Of their own?
on the corporation.
Do they give you the copy of that?
Yes, I have
They
it
do. Okay.
part of the
All
application.
right, they're okay. The only thing that I can think of there as far as the outside stands, you got to leave basically a 4-foot walkway for people to be able to get by. You can't block the sidewalk to make them walk around your product. That's, as long as you got your insurance and everything's in line, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make the motion to approve.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor say yes. Yes. Okay?
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, we have now Leo Silva of the Holy Ghost Society. He's requesting to speak before you on the matter of some recent outdoor activities at the Holy Ghost Park at 65 Village Street. There may have been some concern about neighbors troubled by the amplification of their sound.
Yeah. Okay, Leo, I want to set the record just for everybody. I had received a phone call, and I know the secretary had received a phone call. You are not obligated to be here, and this is not a hearing by which anybody has filed a formal complaint. It just seems strange to me that in speaking with you, the police were there, everybody was there, nobody said anything about the noise, and I wanted to give you the opportunity to nip this in the bud before, because I do say, without prejudice, that the park has been great. I'm going to say that, right up to this point, we haven't had any problem. The police haven't had to respond. You guys have done a fabulous job at taking care of this park. I couldn't understand what happened, and so I asked you to come in.
If I may, sir, we had our license on Saturday on the 2nd. We had our outside permits from 5 p.m. to 12 a.m. for the sound. We shut down the music at 10:45, 10:50, the music on the 2nd. On Sunday, we had the liquor license also until 1 a.m., and we shut down the bar at 12 a.m. On Sunday, we had the permits from 12 noon to 10 p.m. We shut down. We did have a complaint, and an officer came by, was dispatched to the location at 9:30 at night. As a matter of fact, I was talking to the 2 detail officers at the time when she approached us and says that she had a call that there was a complaint. Automatically, I went to the sound technician. I told him to shut down the music. I did not want to be an inconvenience to our neighbors. We wanted this relationship to keep going, and we're just trying our best to make everybody happy and do what we do for the Holy Ghost in the community of Lowell. As far as everything else goes, if if somebody called, I wasn't aware of any calls on Saturday. We shut the music down earlier than what it was supposed to be because to prevent that from happening, and for future directions that come in and committees, we're trying the best we can to just follow the law and do whatever we have to do. I apologize to those neighbors that called in the name of Holy Ghost. We didn't go above and beyond the time that we were supposed to. The sound wasn't that loud. As a matter of fact, at 9 o'clock, I asked the sound director to lower it down 5 knots so it would be within the park only, and not going through the neighbors. So just in behalf of Holy Ghost, I'm here to whatever.
Did you, just out of curiosity, do you still have the sound meter?
Yes, we do.
Did anybody walk the parking lot to see?
Yes, we did.
And it wasn't?
It wasn't. We had 2 officers on detail. As a matter of fact, one of the officers, Sharon, she came up to me and she says, "Leo, I can't believe people are complaining," but it is what it is, and that's But as soon as this was on Sunday.
Okay.
The officer was dispatched. I think that the call came in at 9:30, and she got there at 9:40 or 9:45. And when she came up to us and told me and the other 2 officers that they were having complaints, I went to the sound technician and told him to shut down the music right away.
Okay.
So,
Right. My suggestion to you would be that, sometimes, and I'm not saying that this person was right or wrong or everything, but you need to be able to, let's say, take preventive steps. So be aware of the fact, record in a little book, just keep a note on the date and the time when you walk down, have the policeman you're hiring, he's on a detail, have him look at the sound meter with you, and then just initial it in a notepad or something so that you have something recorded, okay? I think sometimes these things can get blown out of proportion. I was quite surprised about it, to be honest with you, because we had I don't think we've had any problems with the park in 3-4 years now.
we hadn't,
That's
sir.
safe? At least that, okay?
Yeah. And we're trying our best.
I commend you for what you're doing, and I want to say to you, I think that, I appreciate you taking your time off from work and being here. I wanted to nip this in the bud before it got blown out of proportion. I think the best thing to do is take your sound meter and the police officer that you've hired, walk down and make a recording and keep it in a book. So if somebody later on says the noise was, out of sight, we have our side of the story, or your side, if you will, and we can keep things going.
That's
okay?
a very good suggestion. We'll do that.
All right. Again, thank you for coming in.
Thank you. It's my pleasure, sir.
Next on the agenda.
Get my stuff.
This guy, they move next to the park, and then he's park him in there. What are you gonna do? Okay, was this a corporate, changing? Next.
It's much like a transfer. Mr. Chairman, the Commission, you will now open the hearing on the transfer of partnership interest of the Outback / New England number 2 limited partnership doing business as Outback Steakhouse, the all-alcoholic beverage restaurant licensee. Joseph J. Cadro is the representative for the general partner, Outback Steakhouse of Florida, Inc. The premises at 28 Reese Avenue, and the application requests approval of reallocation of interest in the limited partnership. The fact that Outback Steakhouse of Florida, Inc. would be 90% interest, and Kelly J. Lewis Murphy would have 10% interest.
Kelly's here? Oh, hi. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Step up and introduce yourself.
Kelly Murphy, Outback Steakhouse.
Okay. Explain to my esteemed commissioner here what you're doing. He's a lawyer. He understands better than I do.
Well, basically, from what I understand is, from what I got from Ryan, the JVP for the region for Outback Steakhouse, Wayne Hull, he had a limited interest in the restaurant until March when Outback bought his shares back. They were bought back in March, and so my interest has never changed. I've always been a 10% owner. Outback's interest has changed from 87% with Wayne Hull owning 3% to back. Outback owns the 90 and I own the 10. So nothing really has changed as far as my position in the restaurant.
Okay. All right, just so we're clear then, the only change is that Outback's interest is increasing by the 3% buyback, and there's one less basically responsible party that's going to be involved.
There's one less person involved, correct?
Okay. I have no problem.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor, say yes.
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 Thank you.
Next.
Commission will now open the hearing on the application for an original malt beverage and wine only restaurant license by Kyoto Japanese Inc., doing business as Esogo Sushi and Asian Cuisine. Stephen Lin is president, premises at 16 Merrimack Street, an unnumbered door on the south side for egress, a first floor dining room and sushi bar, a service area, kitchen and coffee, freezer area, and an office. It is requested that Stephen Lin be approved as manager of record by Kyoto Japanese Inc., and the license for common victular was issued to Kyoto on May 17, 2007, after Health Department reported satisfactory inspection. And Kyoto Japanese Inc. has filed for entertainment license for jukebox only.
Okay, did you have to, was this the green cards?
This was the issue for the notice. I had nothing to show you.
You didn't bring them in? Did you bring in the green cards, sir?
I mailed it to him already last week. Never got it? I got 2 left, but I mailed you the bulk of it along with the receipt. I have 2 of them that are kind of stragglers. But the bulk I sent it to you, Brian.
Mr. Chairman, Attorney Peter Lin, who represents the corporation Kyoto Japanese Inc., we had conversation last week, and in anticipation of this afternoon's scheduled hearing, I asked that if he wasn't to bring them in to the office personally, he would forward them by mail. To date, I have not received any mailing that his office had sent out. There are 2 green cards, apparently might have been late returns on the receipts on 2 of the abutters. Mr. Chairman, there are a number of abutters. It just so happens that the location of the restaurant is in a building that is owned by condominium home. There are individual condos, and they are listed as property owners touching.
You don't have anything from them?
Nothing in hand. I have nothing to show you. Apparently, the mailing would have included an affidavit by the attorney.
No, we're not going to do it, not if there's condos there. No. I hate to do this to you, but I'm not going to do this, not with condo owners in the building. No, I need to make, we need to get notice from every one of those condo owners in the building saying that it's okay. That they understand you're going to open a restaurant with an alcohol license.
No, I understand.
That's the law. Do you have copies of the cards that you mailed?
I have copies of the receipt from the post office where they register every one of them.
Okay.
That shows you when I mailed them.
Yeah, but that don't show where it was mailed. It don't show that they got it either.
Have that with you now?
No, I didn't, but I thought you
Yeah, but it
had
doesn't
mailed
show
it.
that they got it. I mean, to say that it was mailed is one thing.
Well,
but
that's
to have it signed for is
I guess-
another thing.
I guess, Attorney Lynn, our issue is this. It was not 2 months ago that we had a rather large crowd down here that was primarily condominium owners complaining about noise from establishments serving alcohol on weekends. And we would be in a very bad spot if we went forward on this without having proof that these abutters, these people who live in the condos right above the restaurant, had been given notice. Basically, worst case scenario, we could face that angry mob. That's why we needed the green cards, and I understand that there obviously were some mix-up in the mailing. But we're gonna need proof that they were given the notice. We're gonna need these, at least showing that they were received. So that's kind of what we're stuck at right now.
We're going to continue it. I'm going to make a motion to continue it without a finding.
And if you could just,
When it's sufficed, I show you, if I fax you, send you a copy of the receipt from the post office, where they register every one of the mailers.
No, not with condos in the building. I want something to prove that the owners of those condos were notified, that they got it.
if you have copies of both sides of the green cards, you could bring those.
Yeah, I'll
That'd be
take
fine.
that,
Yeah.
yes. If you got copies of the cards, both sides.
No, I don't have all the cards. No, I sent them to Ryan there, the whole stack of them.
You mailed the cards to Ryan?
I sent the original to him
Okay. So I guess we need to
Well,
figure out what happened on those.
When did you mail them?
last week.
I'm sorry, and a week they should have got here. Maybe they did, but if they didn't and we don't have copies, then we go back to square one. Because I am not. I'm sorry, sir. I'm sorry. I am not saying. Like the commissioner said, this just. These people have a right to know what's going on in their neighborhood.
No, I understand that.
They're not there to hassle you. They're probably going to be good customers. I mean, I don't know. Maybe that's. Don't sit there. Look at me.
I didn't know you were asking me a question.
Well, I'm trying to say, were we right or wrong?
You're absolutely right.
Oh, okay. All right, then we got to do it. Either that or we got to go back to square one. I don't know what else to tell you, sir. But I need a card from those people knowing. There should be a president of the association of the condo owners in the building. Get a hold of him.
These are the people that I have
And we got the same
We've got
thing,
the
but
copy
that
of the list
doesn't
of who
prove
it was
they got
mailed to.
them.
We just need the proof of the receipts.
That doesn't prove they got them.
No, proof that I'm
Commissioner
not
White-
saying it to prove anything, but I'm saying, if I show you the receipt from the post office, at least it shows that it was mailed to them. Whether they receive it or decide for it, that's up to their prerogative.
Okay, let's look at it this way here. Wait a minute. Yeah, but here's the problem. You're saying you mailed the green cards to the...
Along with the receipt.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. I know. This is my concern. You're saying you mailed the green cards to Ryan. He didn't get them.
I understand that's what he
Okay?
said.
You want us, on the strength of some receipts that you've got, to assume that the people that the receipts made out to got what was mailed to them. But you, but we, do you understand?
Well, the question I have for you is that if we show that we mailed it to the abutters.
That's not the point, sir.
No, but let me finish my point. How do we know that they would come on and go to the post office and actually get the mail? My job here is to send it to them.
Then we gotta do it over.
But if they don't get it, if they don't pick it up,
Well,
how's it become my responsibility?
No, I think if they don't pick it up, that's not your responsibility. I mean,
Right.
we just need,
So if we show that, we
how
send
many
it out
condos, how
via
many
express,
condos you got made?
via certified mail.
Realistic.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12,
13.
15, with 2 of them came, we got 2 of the cards out of the 15.
It's 15?
Yeah, so, but I figure really, it's 13, 12 potential responses. I mean, I know one of them's not.
All right, so,
And actually, one of these is, I mean, here you go, this person is the same person times 3,
so is his
4,
card here?
5.
What's his name?
No, Mr. Jeff Cecil. Or Zeisel.
He's not here.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, he's 5 of the abutters. So,
Well. Okay,
I'm not, I mean, this just shows, it looks like several of the condos haven't actually changed hands.
I know, I know, the thing that I would have a hard time believing, okay? The thing that I would have a hard time believing is with all of the interest going on in the downtown area, with people buying these condos in the downtown area, that they would get something about a restaurant opening and they wouldn't respond. And, you know, I would be amazed that some of them wouldn't show up here and say, whoa, wait a minute, what kind of, are you gonna have, Japanese dancing, or, what's going, I mean, they got a right to know. They've got a right to know. And they've been, the chief has gotten the people in the downtown area very involved. He's had meetings here at City Hall with various property owners in the downtown area, and they all show up. They all show up for the meeting, so I can't understand that they wouldn't respond to something like this. I don't know, I can't.
Actually, why don't we just hold it till the end, because I'm looking and I'm seeing that at least 2 of those green cards were for condominiums inside that building.
I can't vote for it.
Yeah, all right, well, okay, then let's, yeah, all right. Then I'll make you made the motion to table it till next week?
Table it.
Or table it to the next meeting?
Yeah,
All
yeah.
right, I'm gonna second that motion then.
All right, motion to table it to the next meeting. Seconded, all in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Sorry.
Can I get a clarification? Do you want me to send these notices out?
If you can't get the cards, you're gonna have to start over again and
I'm
send
saying
out.
that if the people are not responding by not picking up cards up, by
If
not
the
picking
people
up
aren't
mail,
responding, sir, okay? If the people are not responding, I go knock on their door, okay? I do what it takes. If I wanted to open a business bad enough, and I had abutters, and I had to prove to the commission that the people were notified, Well, then excuse me, I guess I'd want enough, and I'd go down, and I would knock on the door, I'd say, excuse me, we sent you a car, you signed for it, you didn't respond. I'd like you to sign a statement for me at least that you got something. I would do something.
I'll tell you, I'd be happy enough if the post office gives an affidavit as to, with respect to the fact that they were all mailed, I mean,
Yeah.
I would feel satisfied. I mean, it's just, I have the list here.
Right.
I just don't have
understand
anything
that.
from the post office basically affirming that they sent it. That's all.
Yeah, but if the receipt that they stamp, because these things are sent by certified mail, then you would assume that they would send it out.
Right. And you had said you have copies of those that were sent?
That was in the package that I sent to Ryan.
Oh, yeah, but
I didn't send it, but I'm saying that,
we need something that has proof. And if it's in a package that Ryan didn't get, we go back to the green card. No, that's this one. This is that one. I'm not trying to give you a hard time. You're saying the receipts are in the package you sent Ryan. That's not doing us any good. I don't know where that package is.
Do you have copies of the receipts that you sent?
I have the receipt from the post office where every one of them that is sent.
Here's the cash
do you have
receipt.
it?
Here's the tape that added up. You have the tape, right, that added
I have
up
the
the
tape.
amount of money. You don't have the white paper with the,
No,
with the
that's the
red.
one I sent along with the green card. I have a tape that shows it's
That's
mail.
not proof that you sent them. That could have been used for anything. I'm not, don't take me wrong. I don't mean that you would have done that, but, you can go into the post office and pick up a tape. It doesn't
It
prove.
has the address on it.
Huh?
Oh, it has the addresses on it that it was mailed to?
I believe so. I mean, I can verify it.
No. Well, if it does, bring it in the next meeting.
Yeah, do you have
Or bring it into Ryan ahead of time.
Do you have it with you? Or
No, I didn't. I
right.
put it on my office. I assumed that Ryan had the package.
Okay, if you could bring that in or fax it over at least, we could give you.
I'm going to tell you right now, if it's just a cash receipt showing a whole bunch of
No, I didn't say
mail,
if it's in a
we're not
cash
going to
receipt.
accept it.
I'm saying a cash receipt that shows the address.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
if
need something that's
Something
gonna-
that shows the addresses?
The addresses.
If you fax that into Ryan, I mean, we could probably find out, we'll probably take a look at it ahead of time, okay?
All right?
Okay, sorry.
Now, one more question for you. If you look at the abutters list, the same name appears in my 5 condominiums. I just assume that one notice should be sufficient for the same party.
One notice the whole condominium? No.
No, he's saying to the people who's got the cards
There are
for.
5 units that are owned by the same owner. For example, if you look at unit 2D, 2B, 2D, 3B, 3D, and then
Yes, one notice would be sufficient. I think there's one person here who owns 5
one
units.
person owns 5 units.
Right.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
can
yeah.
send them one
Yeah,
notice,
that's
that's fine.
I just want to assume that's true.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
It's the remainder of that packet.
You understood him, huh? The lawyer's talk. Oh, okay. I didn't know all lawyers talk.
I'm just younger, my hearing's better.
We all set? Okay. Commission will now open a hearing on the allegations of misconduct charged by Kenneth LaValle, the acting superintendent of police, against Camaro Restaurant, Inc., Bishop Noon as the manager of record, the all-alcoholic beverage restaurant licensee at 308-310 Westford Street. Acting Superintendent LaValle had forwarded a communication, and it was reviewed by the License Commission on February 22nd, 2007, and a hearing had been scheduled for April the 12th, 2007. But due to the fact that there was some involvement with the Middlesex District Attorney's Office, the matter was postponed with no set date until today, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Introduce yourself for the record.
For the record, Mr. Chairman, my name is George C. Eliades Jr., 133 Market Street, Lowell, and I'm here this afternoon on behalf of the Camaro Restaurant.
Okay. Have you read the complaint?
I have, Mr. Chairman.
Do you want it read into the record?
I don't think that's necessary.
Okay, I would ask Captain Demora if you'd be kind enough to give a brief overview for the audience.
On the evening of February 10th, approximately 23:40 hours, we received a call from an officer working a detail that there was a fight at the Camaro Restaurant on Westford Street. The officers responded. As a result of the officers responding, numerous people were arrested for disturbing the peace, assault and battery on police officers, where 2 officers received some type of injuries. Also, the owner of the property received some injury also. As that was due to a prior incident inside where they were escorting people out that they believe were intoxicated, the officers that were on duty.
Okay.
If I may, Mr. Chairman. I've represented this woman probably for 8 or 10 years that I can remember, but I have with me the owner of the establishment. And she's owned this establishment for more than 20 years, a fine restaurant, which I think is a credit to this city in Cupples Square. I'm sure the chairman's familiar with the location there. There was a period of time, if you recall, Mr. Chairman, where when they decided to open their function room in the back, and there were issues about noise and things like that. And this woman worked long and hard to protect her restaurant and her family. And if you recall, there were issues about noise, etc. She spent literally tens of thousands of dollars fixing that up, meeting with the neighbors constantly, doing everything she could to accommodate and help the neighbors. And she's been a great credit to the neighborhood there. She is really what I would call a rock or an anchor in that particular section of Cupples Square. That being said, obviously, there was an issue that took place on Valentine's Day. She had a party in the establishment. I have, by the way, the establishment DVDs that from the security cameras, which will substantiate, I believe, all of which I'm about to mention now. And I think I've already spoken to Captain Demore and Attorney Leahy about these items so that they would know what I intended to talk about. The fact of the matter is there was a problem. Oh, first of all, my client on every regular occasion makes sure when there's a party that's going to take place that she hires at least 2 Lowell policemen for the party. That particular evening there were in fact 2 policemen on duty. And what happened is apparently inside the restaurant a couple of...
Excuse me for a second. Who's behind you?
Her brother, another member of her family.
Okay, I mean, I just, it's like, all right.
Okay,
Yeah.
he's not hiding.
It was making me nervous.
It's just
if you
that
say something wrong, you're
I'm
going
getting
down.
too big for him, Mr.
Yeah,
Chairman.
okay, go ahead.
I'm
Sorry
covering.
about that.
In any event, in this particular evening, there was a problem in the party room, and immediately one of the officers notified the other officer for some help in the party room. The camera clearly shows they went in and they removed some people who were causing trouble and brought them outside. In the process, after these fellows were brought outside and literally carried across the street, not carried, but escorted across the street by the police officers, at that point it would have appeared that everything was okay and that the incident was not going to be a problem, etc. Unfortunately, there were some young women who were with these particular people who decided that they were going to interpose themselves into the whole situation, and they followed out the door. And my client, then realizing that she had a troublemaker or 2 on her hands, actually was helping the police and others to escort this young woman out of the place. And when they get outside or right by the doorway, this woman brutally attacked my client here, who was trying to protect her place, scratching her, kicking her, clawing her, etc. At that point, all of the activity, all of the troublemakers were outside, but the police had wisely called for backup assistance. And as you know, Mr. Chairman, there has been some problem in the past with some of the parties that have taken place in these restaurants where maybe there are issues of I don't know what, too many people or whatever. Although I hasten to add, Mr. Chairman, and I want the board to understand this, as you well know, I have been here in behalf of other establishments at other times where there have been problems and the police have been called to the location. There are 2 major differences that I want to point out here. Number one, my client, this happened before midnight. My client closes at midnight. These other establishments that you're familiar with, Mr. Chairman, are places where one of the principal problems was that people after 1 o'clock, when other establishments closed, who might have been over-refreshed along the way, ended up at some of these other establishments maybe looking for trouble. That was not the case here. My client doesn't run that kind of operation. This was a single incident that took place that, unfortunately, when everything got outside, things got out of hand. Nothing to do with my client, nothing to do, in my opinion, with any over-serving or anything like that. Apparently, there were men and women, young ladies and young men, who decided that they were going to be bold enough to take on the Lowell police and do what they needed to do to protect each other. Certainly, we acknowledge that, unfortunately, once the police were outside, once these people were outside, as you well know, that's a particular area where there are a lot of a few other establishments in the location, in the area there. I'm going to only speculate, I don't know that for sure, but the DVD clearly shows that there were many, many people outside there that kept gathering as more and more police cruisers appeared. I think at some point, if I'm not mistaken, there were actually 10, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe, no?
Approximately on scene that evening was 17 Lowell police officers with additional police officers from the state police and Chelmsford Police.
Yeah. All outside the establishment, all in couples.
Yeah, but you know yourself, counsel, don't go too far. Just because they were outside, that doesn't...
I understand
it's responsibility.
I understand. No,
Okay.
I was going to make that comment too.
I understand. Go ahead.
I was going to make that.
I'm listening.
Yeah, I was going to make that comment too in the neighborhood.
You've been here before.
In the neighborhood of differentiation, Mr. Chairman. Okay,
Yeah.
Because in other incidents that you and I are familiar with, there have been cases where there were clearly perhaps over-serving issues, cases of strangers coming along who were known troublemakers to the police department of the city of Lowell. I don't believe that's the case here. The point I'm trying to make is the difference between my client's establishment and these other establishments is she doesn't stay open late at night looking for late night business.
Okay.
She doesn't overserve people. She put herself and her family and her restaurant into this whole effort. The tape shows that every member of her family and she were out there trying to help to get rid of what appeared to be the troublemakers and get everybody out of this place and calm things down. What took place outside afterwards there was clearly beyond their control.
Okay. Are the police here that were involved in this?
Yes, they are.
Okay. The police that were detailed, the two police that were inside.
Officer Cochran's here.
Huh?
Officer Cochran?
Yeah, can you just come up and just, can you step aside and let the policeman speak? You have to use the mic. Okay? I want to know, give me your honest overall view.
From the very beginning, sir, we were working, myself and Officer Boutzellis were working the detail at the Camara. It was a very active party, a lot of people. Officer Boutzellis was in the front of the building, and I was in the rear of the building, which is kind of the way we usually split it up so that we can keep an eye on everything. And at approximately 11:40 p.m., Officer Boutzellis flashed his flashlight at me, alerting me that there was a problem on the dance floor, or in the area next to the dance floor. And we both proceeded to that problem. That turned out to be a problem between a boyfriend and girlfriend, and they were having a little bit of an argument between themselves because, well, as I later found out, she was asking other people to dance, and the boyfriend was taking exception to that. They were arguing. Several of their friends were joining in the argument, so it was beginning to become heated, and other people were actually putting their noses in where it didn't belong, whereas it was just an argument between the two of them, and several people were getting involved in this argument. I came to the realization that we were going to need help if this was to blow up and go any further. I radioed over the radio, and I asked for the area cruiser to come by and back us up. And as I did so, Officer Boutzellis and I started escorting people and trying to get people out the front door to end the party, stop the music, say goodnight to everybody else, and get people out the door and say goodbye. And by the time we get outside, things had just escalated to the point where nobody was going to leave and that there was going to be a little disturbance in the street between several of these people who were involved inside the restaurant. As I was crossing the street, traffic was still coming up and down the street. We're trying to get people across the street without having them killed by a car on Westwood Street. My attention was drawn towards one side of the street. Officer Boutsalis went to the other side of the street. Other cruiser officers were arriving on the scene to help us out. And at some point, Officer Boutsalis made his decision that he was going to place somebody under arrest. And as he was placing somebody under arrest, an individual by the name of James Thatch, who had been there for several hours during the night, James Thatch decided that he was going to go over and assault Officer Boutsalis from the rear. And he approached Officer Boutsalis from the rear and struck him with his left hand on the left side of Officer Boutsalis' eye, causing a large welt and a black eye to Officer Boutsalis. As it turns out later, James Thatch was the brother of the girl who was involved in the original incident inside. And things escalated from there. People started going to jail as James Thatch assaulted Officer Boutsalis. Officer Rafael Rivera here went to the rear of James Thatch and started taking him off Officer Boutsalis. As Officer Rivera went to the aid of Officer Boutsalis, another female, the sister, Simone Thatch, assaulted Officer Rivera from the rear, scratching him with her fingernails on both sides of his face. And I, at that point, made my way over there, and I took her off the back of Officer Rivera. And by that time, people were going to jail, and the incident was on the way down. We had several police officers at the scene. There were 50, 60, 70 people in the immediate area. And only at that point did things start calming down.
Okay. Do you, in your honest opinion, do you feel that, have you worked the restaurant before?
Many times.
Many times?
Many times.
Okay. What kind of an operation do they run?
They usually run a very respectable operation. I can't say that they're doing anything unusual that any other
Were
Asian
any of
bar
these
does.
people that got involved in the fight, were they known to the police department?
James Thatch was known to me. He was known to me. I did not know any of the other people who participated in this. I may know them by sight, but I can't say that I know them by name.
Okay. On a scale of 1 to 10, as far as the restaurant owners are concerned, what would you say their spirit of cooperation was?
It would be at least a good 9, sir. Malavi was outside, and she was attempting to move people along, to end the night, to get people to go. And at some point during this altercation, she was actually assaulted by one of the females who actually grabbed her by the throat and was threatening her physically.
Okay. I'm curious for you to tell me, do you feel that, I mean, you got a situation of a boyfriend, girlfriend, or, you know, you looked at my wife, whatever it was, I don't know,
Yes.
whatever you did there, but do you feel that was what it was caused about, or do you feel that possibly people had too much to drink?
Honestly, I would say it was probably a combination of both. It was the emotional as well as the alcohol together at 11:45 at night with 15 minutes left to go until the end of the night, and it was probably a combination of both.
Okay. Was she still serving at 11:45? Or had she shut the bar? As she had last call? I mean, she's got the right to serve till 1 anyway, so I mean... Yeah.
No,
Okay.
I don't really know because I wasn't paying attention
How
to
many
it at that time.
instances with the bar have we had? Ryan?
Might have been prior to my taking.
Mr. Chairman, this past February, you and Commissioner Geary had addressed the matter to do with there was it was on New Year's Eve.
Was that the guy with the meat cleaver?
December 31st, who was intoxicated, who was slumped over. He was discovered to be in unconscious state as the business was closing. Police called for ambulance. He had to be transported to the Lowell General by the ambulance.
Okay.
He had a bloody lip. It was clearly under the influence, presumably alcohol. And you cited the licensee with a 6-month probation to be placed on file.
Okay.
For serving intoxicated patron.
Yeah. If I may, Mr.
Yeah.
Chairman, a couple of things. First of all,
Go ahead.
Malavy points out to me that this particular gentleman from the prior incident.
I'm sorry, talking to the mic.
I'm sorry. Yeah, Malavy pointed out to me. I'm here. I'm the guy with the 2 hearing aids.
Yeah,
Mr.
well, I had
Chairman.
my teeth fixed, so my hearing's not working.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Malavy points out to me that that particular event was from a guy who was clinically depressed and had been treated previously. His mother had just died and whatever. I mean, you can. No, I understand that.
Okay.
I'm just trying to say that.
I know, but he was.
The other.
But if he was over intoxicated, and I mean, you know.
Yeah.
If you're a drunk and you're looking for a reason, you can find one. My mother died, my dog died, you know, play a country western tune, my horse died. So
Right.
It gave me a reason to drink. I mean, we don't need that.
I understand that.
They don't need to come to your place, and we try to tell everybody that, okay? We don't need to walk into a place with an excuse, I got to get drunk tonight because my cat died. No.
I understand that.
So we don't need that one.
There's one other very significant point that I think may help the situation here. Is I think you're aware there has been a practice with a number of the Asian restaurants in this community to, on occasions of parties, have a bottle on the table. And when this matter was first brought to my attention by Malavy, I asked her if that particular evening, the evening in question, the February event, that was in fact the case, and she indicated to me that it was. And I told her that I was sure that everybody, to my knowledge, in the License Commission and the police department or whatever, did not think that this was a very good practice, even though it's a private party or whatever it might be. Her explanation to me was that, unfortunately, from a competitive standpoint, what she's faced with there are a number of other Asian restaurants that have parties that do this practice, and she was getting murdered competitively because that's the case.
But you know what your mother would say to you if all the kids jumped off the bridge?
I remember that. Well, that's what I said to her. I said, notwithstanding all that happening, I said, are you willing to voluntarily cut that particular type of service and action? And she said to me, absolutely, and she's guaranteed that she will not do that at any time in the future.
That's I'm not sure.
Oh, and I'm
Commissioner
sorry.
White is familiar with that, but that's a custom or a practice that this commission has got to look at and deal with.
The other significant.
Yes.
That practice should not happen.
Well, I don't think so, but
that absolutely cannot happen. If it happens, it should be reported because they're not allowed to do that by law.
Okay. Unfortunately, it's something that hasn't been enforced, though, and you know that, and I know that. So, okay, maybe, let's put the word out and say.
We've been looking at all the establishments in the city for that practice.
Right. Great.
The other significant thing I'd like to point out, Mr. Chairman, is that during all of the proceedings that have taken place subsequent to this with the district attorney's office, any of the the criminal matters that have come about, my client has been in constant touch with the district court and the district attorney's people. She's been helped by the victims advocate section of the thing. She's going to be a witness in July against this young woman who did serious physical, as you heard Officer Cochran say, literally scratched and choked this woman along the way. And I'm not saying, Mr. Chairman, that what happened that evening was anything pleasant, needless to say.
No.
And needless to say, she's not happy about what happened. She runs a fine establishment. And since that time, obviously, has had no problem. I'm only asking the commission to take this woman's 21-year record as a fine, upstanding community leader in Couple Square, done so much for the Cambodian community in this city, and for you to look at the totality. I think and by the way, I should also point out that I've spoken with Captain DeMora and Attorney Leahy on a number of occasions prior to this in terms of the kinds of things that we can do to help the police department and the city in terms of trying to make sure that events like this don't happen again.
Commissioner.
Do you have you said, you made reference to some DVDs showing what was going on. Was that from the security monitors?
I do.
I gotta tell you, I'd like to see them, because my balancing is this. I mean, obviously, there was an incident, and it clearly got out of hand. But right now, I'm looking, and I don't know what position the Middlesex DA has taken on this. Are they looking at your client as a victim, or are they looking at her as a contributing party?
Absolutely a victim, sir.
And and are we gonna?
I would like to
change the
show
rules on that?
these to the...
You have them with you?
I do.
Do you
I
have
do.
a
I have them here, yes.
Laptop?
Laptop also.
Okay, yeah, I'd love to see them.
Great.
Bring it up. Captain, all, go ahead and get set up. Okay, there you go. These other folks. Go ahead and sit down. What?
There's going to be a contested issue on licensee at 147 Cambridge Street.
What's that? What? Oh, that's a used car on the back.
Class 2 license? That's it.
That was that one I said.
From last meeting that we tabled over to this one.
The landlord wants to put in a new licensee.
And you can't, because the other guy's got a lease.
Well,
He's not.
if the gentleman is here to speak on his own behalf, however they want us. I mean, this is for a hearing.
I understand. Do you want to,
We want to continue with this.
well, they're going to get it set up.
Okay.
How long's? and we
It's
don't-
probably,
Do we want to tie these police officers up all?
Well, that's for you to decide, and you could talk to Brian Leahy about that if you want.
Okay,
They're getting paid one way or the other. They've got their money, so.
okay.
okay. You know,
Then what do
Hold on,
we
she
want?
says she's just got one thing. I'm sorry, ma'am, what's the one thing that you have on?
Yeah, go up to the mic.
To the mic.
Go up
Yeah,
to the
so
mic,
it's
ma'am.
On a record.
Yeah. What's your,
My name is Mary Walter. I work at the New England Quilt Museum, and I was here to ask a few questions of Ryan. We spoke on the phone about what we may or may not do out on the sidewalk. We take a tent every year.
Yeah.
And I had some questions about the product or the kind of event that we were going to have. I
Okay.
just wanted some clarification.
the,
In the paperwork that you sent to me
Yeah.
about what we have been able to do or not be able to do, it recommends that we sell product that is in the museum outside on the
Right.
sidewalk. And I was wondering, because we do sell some specialized items, would be able to, for example, we have a tea that is done with our label, and we serve tea. And I was wondering, would that be an appropriate thing to do for the folk festival?
serve tea?
Serving tea?
Yeah, tea, iced tea. One of the things the museum does as a fundraiser, usually we have a Mother's Day tea, a Mother's Day endowment. The whole thing is kind
About
of wrapped.
Father's Day?
Well, you can come over for Father's
Oh.
Day.
Oh.
Only, isn't it beer?
The concern, Mr. Chairman, is if you're not operating an existing business,
It's more like a reception. We do, offer receptions. We have opening events. I'm wondering, does that come under the same umbrella of what we're doing? I mean,
It's a museum.
we serve cookies and tea, and we would probably just charge a minimal price. I'm kind of aiming for the bake sale kind of intent. And is that inappropriate or is allowable?
I'm sorry, Mayor,
Right.
Yeah, and
New England Quilt Museum on the corner of Shattuck
Quilt
and Middle.
Museum. Yeah.
follow.
It's,
You had sent the application in.
Yes, I did.
I'm sorry. It's my
No,
apology.
it's okay.
Yes, she is,
I can't see anything wrong with cookies and tea,
no, that was, we
I-
had
That
spoken
we
on
would
the
want
phone.
to charge.
Huh?
We would want to charge a minimal fee to sell,
I'm not sure I received your application.
Oh, really? I did fill it out and mail it to you.
I mailed it to you.
I know, you can't trust the mail
I
these
know.
days, ma'am.
I'm finding
I
out.
don't think I actually received it in the office. I know we've talked on the phone
Right,
several times.
and the requirements for us were to fill out
And
the
the
application.
liability insurance.
And the liability of insurance, which I've
Did you
contacted.
mail that to the office?
I believe I did, but I
Do you
can
have
certainly.
copies of the stuff?
I can certainly send
I
another
think,
one. That's not a
Mr. Chairman,
problem.
we might want to, you can give conditional approval, but I don't think I have anything in the office from you.
You don't have my insurance. I'm just here to ask if this is a way that we can proceed rather than selling product on the street as we've done in the past.
I can't see any problem with that. You know what I would like you to do? I would have no problem making a conditional approval, okay? That approval would be, you got to get the insurance and the appropriate papers to
understand that,
Ryan,
right.
okay?
Yep.
Second, I can't see anybody that's going to object to cookies and tea, but the original agreement between the merchants and the folk festival is
Right.
that you're not supposed to be putting anything outside that you don't sell inside.
Right.
So
But we do
rather
sell
than
it
open
inside.
up, rather than open up Pandora's box
Right.
and get us, because we can get in enough trouble by ourselves. We don't
I
need
can
any
see
help. Get a hold of Andy St. Ange,
Okay.
okay? And run it by him.
And he's the Board of Health?
No, Andy is
he's
the
the festival
special
coordinator?
events coordinator.
Okay, so I'm sure I have his.
And
okay.
get something in writing to give to Ryan.
Okay.
I, Andy St. Ange, says, go for the cookies and tea. Okay. All right? And then
Yes.
and we will tentatively, if
Yeah, I just have one question to council. Is there any issue with victual license? Or is it basically, do we need to treat it as a one-day victualer's license, or?
If Ryan can answer, I actually cannot.
A situation where, okay, just as a premise for everything we're talking about here, when you're a restaurant and you want to have a sidewalk stand permit, much like Angelina's and Subway, who had just been here, and you address their request for sidewalk permit, they're selling a food item. They're selling food. They would like to set up maybe a table or chairs in front of their place of business during the folk festival weekend to offer that product out on the sidewalk. It might be just the people, pedestrians walking by. They presently have license for common vittler. Generally, and if it's a retail store, they would have a table where they would sell their retail items, whether it be like Wells Emporium, or it could be the Barnes & Noble, a bookstore. They would file, and if they want to set up a table or display for their sidewalk stand permit will suffice, and the insurance to make sure the city has coverage for liability. As a person who is representing a museum, one would think that they were set up some artifacts of the museum that they sell at the store. If now the question is whether can she offer herbal tea and cookies that don't have any sugar in them, or whatever. However you want to offer it. The thing is, I would just suggest it's, to you, Mr. Chairman, it's not an issue, but it could pose a problem with other businesses in the downtown area for the fact that they sell a food item. That's their business. In the past, it's always been, if you're a retail store selling non-food, that's what you're offering to the public on the sidewalk. If you're a merchant who sells food, then you would anticipate that they would offer food outside. I know it had been a controversy in the past. I'm not so sure that the special events coordinator is
the one
best person to talk to. I'm not so sure if whether the Lowell Festival Foundation may have some input on this matter as a rule. Certainly, you could speak to the Andy St. Ange to feel him out, find out what exactly he has to say. It might fall into somebody else's lap. The other question is whether you should get a hawker and peddler's license from the state.
Oh, for a 3-day event?
There are people that sell food items by push cart that
Right.
they have to have a state license from the Division of Standards. And no one says it's just for, I don't know whether the state would have a temporary permit for 3 days to cover you. The city of Lowell doesn't have that type of permit for hawker and peddler.
What do they call that license?
Hawker and peddler, through the Division of Standards in Boston. Now, I do have an application for the state license in the License Commission office, presently located in room 34, but
I can come back.
thing is, you could take that and call the office there to inquire about what you might want to do.
I will do that. I don't want to step on anybody's toes, but I also would like to kind of present the museum in a way that's a nice
Well,
association.
As the chairman has suggested, you might talk to the special events
Yeah,
coordinator.
I think you gotta go through that, I think it's, a nice idea. I mean, cookies not my thing, but hey, but the thing there is that, I would have,
So we
I
can
don't think
pursue
that
it.
we have a problem with it as long as it goes through, because they did make this thing. They started this rule that said you can only sell those items outside the building that you sell in your normal business inside.
Right.
Because it certainly would, it would just go right out of sight if you didn't have some kind of control.
Right,
So,
I understand.
you got plenty of time, so why
Right.
don't you make some inquiries and come back and
All right,
see us?
that'll be great. Okay,
And,
thank you.
sugar-free cookies are nice. We like them. They're all right,
Okay, thanks for your help.
Okay? All right. Thanks. Thank you. Okay? Have we got anything else here that we're holding anybody else up on? What are these for?
It's another contested hearing.
Gonzalez and Jose Gonzalez matter, that's all we have.
So one,
Huh?
I can wait if you don't mind, because I'm waiting for some assistance in operating.
Oh, the high-tech stuff. Here we go. Okay, we're going to go with the Gonzalez hearing. Come on, let's do it.
So you recess on the item for this, you recess here on.
Yeah, we're recessed
We'll
on
recess
this,
on
and we're going to, okay.
I'll read it out.
Yeah, tell me, remind me, what was this one about? Was this the one that they had?
is the issue as to whether or not the vacated.
Okay. So, Mr. Chairman, while the matter to do with the Camara is in recess, there is, following this particular matter, the Camara matter, is a hearing to be open for a Class 2 licensee, Johnny Gonzalez and Jose Gonzalez, doing business as JG Auto Sales, license number is 716-B, and notice of hearing pertaining to either cancellation or revocation of the license for violating the policy of the licensing board for being without premises, and that premises being at 147 Cambridge Street. Brian Bourne is the landlord. He claims that the Gonzalez brothers have vacated the premises and have not paid rent.
All right, you came in on this before. All right, step up, please.
Mr. Chairman, for the record, my name is Brian Bond. I'm the owner of 147.
47, okay. And you have not been paid
Correct.
for?
For the month of May, and the tenant had abandoned the property, and I'm looking to have the license removed so that I can fill the spot with the new license.
Okay, and who has the license that's there?
Mr. Gonzalez.
Okay, are you going to surrender that license, sir?
What's actually happening is he actually found a buyer for the business.
I'm sorry, identify yourself.
Jose Gonzalez from JG
Okay.
Auto Sales. Mr. Bond actually brought somebody to my attention that was interested in purchasing the business, and they were going to continue running as JG Auto Sales. At the time that he told me to start moving my stuff out, I took all my things out of the shop. 2 days later, I tried to contact the guy that was supposed to buy the license, and at that time, his phone was disconnected, and Brian Bond actually changed the lock to the shop. I mean, my rent was always paid on time. It wasn't a rent issue that I was backed up a rent or nothing like that. So it's just, basically, he just kind of rushed me out of the place to rent it out to somebody else. Now I have a license. Now I'm trying to get another location, and he's back trying to sue me for $2,200 for back rent.
Okay. Go ahead. See if you-
All right, who was supposed to be purchasing the business?
A young gentleman by the name Charles, I didn't even get his last name. Bond actually placed an article in the Lowell Sun, and he brought him to my attention that he wanted to purchase the business. And after that, I mean, Charles was disappeared, his number's disconnected, and for what I understand now, somebody else rent out the spot.
And who placed the article in the Lowell Sun?
Mr. Bond,
And when was that placed?
a number of times he ran the article in the Lowell Sun. He has another spot right next to my spot that was for rent, and then at the same time, he placed the article that said used car dealership.
Okay, but you don't have any cars on the lot?
No.
And you didn't have any cars on the lot when he asked you to take your stuff
Yes,
off the lot?
Yes, I did have cars there.
You did have stuff on?
Yes, I removed everything when he found the other guy that was supposed to buy the business. So
If you were paying your rent on time,
Yes.
do you have a receipt or anything to prove that you paid it?
Well, I mean, I have all my receipts at home. I mean, he's saying that I didn't pay the rent for the month of May. And that's the time that he brought the person to, that was interested in purchasing the business. I have court paperwork here saying that we're gonna be going to court July 9th. I mean, he's trying to sue me for $2,200. He changed my locks, and there was a Snap-on scanner that was in the shop that's worth like $3,500. I called him up and asked him, Brian, what we're gonna do about my scanner? He said, I'll just sell it on eBay. I mean, he was totally unfair with me all the way throughout the time I was there.
Well, I don't think this is for us to settle, is it? He got a buy and sell on it. You have a buy and sell on the property?
Mr. Chairman, may I?
Yeah.
Sure.
At no point in time did I bring a customer to him saying he was going to buy the business. The Gonzalez brothers were trying to
That's
sell
not the question.
business.
Do you have a buy and sell on that property?
No, I do not.
You
I
do
do
not.
have a new tenant moving in. and,
You have a new tenant? You have an
no relation
agreement
to
with him?
what he's talking about. You know, the court issue is I've taken him to small claims court because he didn't pay his month's rent for for May. He counterclaimed that all these items, which is untrue. And he also states in that counterclaim that he moved out on April 31st. In a police report, it shows that, and you have a copy of the police report, shows that they came down there, it was May 2nd, and he was taking all his equipment out of the place, and he basically said that he wasn't gonna pay for the month of May, and he was moving out, and I could take him to court. And inside the report, it states that. I'm gonna say, I've put several calls into him between May 2nd and the 6th. At that point in time, the place was completely abandoned. I had the locksmith come down to open up the door because I didn't have a key to the unit. Once I changed the locks, I put a notice on the door stating for him to call me to get into the unit if he needed to. There was nothing in the unit. The place was completely empty. Neighbors who were calling me up telling me that he was moving out in the middle of the night. And I guess what I'm looking for is for you to ask him to surrender his license. He's no longer there. All this other stuff, it's really a civil issue between him and I. He's abandoned the property, and he's not using the license there.
Sounds like there's a couple of issues, and one of them, and I think it was my concern last time, that, look, you know, this is primarily a landlord-tenant dispute. It strikes me, based on the notice that was given to Mr. Gonzalez, you have two options. One, you could either cancel or revoke the license as he's not on the property. However, you could also defer it because it seems like there's a major dispute as to how he left the property. And you may want to have a court weigh in, because it may well be that if he's able to prove that somehow he was illegally evicted from the property, he would have remained but for what happened. I mean, Mr. Bond is putting this license commission, I think, in a tough situation based on how this seems to have played out.
Okay.
I'll tell you, I don't want to put myself in the situation of substituting my judgment for the courts. I mean, I think I'd rather wait to hear from them before coming back and revisit this issue. So my position would be that we wait until after the court has wrapped up this matter, and then, you know, based on that, you can come back, you know, as an
This
issue.
could take several months for it to come to head. Now, I've got a client moving into to the unit, it's, the new client, this gentleman was in for $2,200 a month, the new client's in for $2,000 a month. I'm paying the city of Lowell a huge amount of taxes. There was back taxes on the building when I took it over, $350,000. And I had to refinance the property to pay that tax. In order for me to pay the mortgage on that tax, I need to get that rental income.
There are two leases. There are 2 leases outstanding here. You've got a lease for both the new tenant and you've got a lease for, you have copies of that.
Yeah, but he entered into that.
But there are 2 leases, and one expires July 31st, and the other of this year, another one took effect June 1st, 2007, to expire in 2008.
Okay.
Actually, I have a question.
But the lease that expires July 31st is his. He's done.
Right.
So why didn't you just let it run out?
That's for you. In other words, Mr. Braun wants,
And
he wants his new tenant in there.
Yeah, for a month. You're not gonna get it. I'm not gonna be the guy that's gonna do it. We're just discussing I read you entered into a lease with these people. I'm gonna try and simplify. I like simple things, understand? You went and you wanted to get him in there and get an extra month's rent. You wanted the month of June. You wanted to get a month's rent in it. So let me, my turn, okay? Maybe I'm wrong, but this is the way I'm looking at it. You entered in June so you could get rent from these people because this guy wasn't paying you, okay? I don't care whether you locked him out or he locked you out or what that has got to do with it. The end of July, his lease is dead. He's gone. He's gone, okay? You got a month to go. I feel for you, but I can't reach you. Let the lease expire. You're going to lose that rent. Unless you can get these people together and they can compensate him and he wants to come in voluntarily and give up that license. This is not our position. We are not a court. We are not what do they call it? Rental or
Housing court.
Housing court. Thank you.
Wow.
This is not our small claims.
Yeah.
This is not our position. I can appreciate your situation. Believe me, I can. Maybe they can get together and work out a deal. Maybe the 3 of you, instead of throwing stones at each other, can sit down and say, well, look, I'll give you this, you do this. But outside of that, the lease expires come the end of July, and he's out of there. And you put these folks in. It's that simple.
But
Okay?
that license is transferable. I can transfer that license to a different location too, as long as it has the square footage though, right?
I'm sorry?
The license to the, for the dealership, I can transfer that to another location, right? Because I am looking for another location in the city
You
of Lowell
can
right now.
transfer your license to another location?
Because that's what I did. I
Yeah,
spoke
but
to
I'm
him.
going to tell you something right now, okay? I'm not going to forget you. You're holding this guy up. You said you moved your cars out of there, okay? You're holding this guy up. If that's the kind of person you are, I don't know that I necessarily would buy a car from you, okay? Just listen to me carefully. You're holding this guy up. He's got taxes to pay. He's got a viable businessman over here that wants to go to work. You abandon the property. You're going to hold him up for the 30, 45 days and make him lose the rent. I don't know if you come in here that I would look at you favorably and say, oh, this is a great guy, because I think you have to have some character to...
I would hold off on that because that part as to whether or not he abandoned is in dispute.
Yeah, it is. That's
And we'll let the
between
court,
them.
we'll let the
But I
court
think it'd
decide
be
if
a
there was an
hell of a lot
abandonment or
smarter for
whatever.
them to iron it out.
If they iron it
Okay?
out, if they iron it out ahead of
If they
time,
iron
then
it
we
out,
iron
you
it
guys
out.
iron it out, come in, we will...
If
but
not-
we're not making that decision,
Right.
okay? I got a used car, I'll sell you. See you later.
So I basically paid $15,000 for a business, and I mean, now I can't transfer it to another location. That's what you guys are telling me right now?
No.
No,
I'm not-
I didn't
I'm
say
not-
that.
Look, we're not making any decision on whether or not
We
the
didn't make
license
that
is
decision.
transferable yet, okay? No decision like that is being made, all right? What we're saying is you've got an issue that needs to be resolved in court.
Yes.
All right, and
it's
we're
gonna-
not going to substitute ourselves for the court on
Right.
that matter.
Yes.
All
And it's
right?
going to cost you lawyer's fee
And
and
it's
him
gonna-
lawyer's fee. It's going to cost those people time and money. It's going to cost him tax dollars. It's going to cost you lost revenue. You want to go
Right.
that route? Go.
I mean,
we're talking about The spot's there. There's still a last month's rent, a security deposit. I mean,
Okay.
where's the rest of the money?
Wait, we're not going to get involved in that issue,
No.
all right? That's a court issue. We're not going to take it up here. That's, that's a question of whether or not there was a breach of a lease or not, whether or not there was security or not. That's all stuff for the small claims court to get involved in. If there's unpaid rent for the month of May or June or July, since the lease runs through the end of July, those are all things for the court to make awards and determinations on, all right? Until you have a location, you're not operating a used car sales.
Nope.
Okay, so obviously you're out of business until you find a location.
That's correct.
All right, and if there's some way you guys resolve it beforehand, that would be great, because you could transfer, we could get a new business in there up and running. If you can't resolve it beforehand and your lease expires at the end of July,
Yep. I mean, I told Mr. Bond, I'm pretty open right now. I mean,
okay,
talk to me. I mean, that's it.
and we're not gonna, and again, we're not gonna weigh in on any of the decisions or any of the negotiations. What I'm saying is this: we're not weighing in on the decisions and the negotiations between the two of you. We're not substituting our judgment for the small claims court. All right. Right now, there's a lease that's running through July. It's a court matter, as a dispute. We're not going to step in place of it. So we're going to leave you guys back to the court. I'm going to leave you guys back to the report.
You got it. That's for you to take to court. We're not going to be a land. We're just not going to do it. I'm sorry. Okay.
Okay.
I'm trying to be as honest as I can. You guys are smart. Get on the end of the corridor there. There's a big room. Sit down there. The last man standing comes out. Hey, we do. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Let's do the minor business. Do we have this thing up and running? We do. Minor business application. Yeah, send them out.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, just as for under old new business, there are 4 letters of complaint against a number of the licensees in the city of Lowell: Mango Tango, the Atlantic Liquors, John Carlos, which is Friends Restaurant, and Kilkenny Pub. All 4 have complaints filed against them. When would you prefer to schedule these?
Next meeting. We're going to do them all.
Actually, when are we supposed to have all the people in for the, what day are we having all the people in for Folk Festival? Is that next meeting?
Well,
I think so.
Okay. I think so. I'm looking at council.
We still do.
I thought last time that you wanted everyone in for Lowell Folk Festival, either the 14th or the 28th.
Yeah.
Some were in today, and so, in theory, everybody else
Well,
would be on the 28th.
just as the point is that if you're not filing your application by June 30th,
you're not going to get one.
You're not going to get a license, but that would mean that the next meeting after June 30th will be July the 12th.
All right, get them in for next week.
Get them in.
For the next
Okay,
meeting.
Yeah.
so Mango Tango,
Yep.
Atlantic
Yep.
Liquors, John Carlos,
Yep.
and Kilkenny
Yep.
for
Yep.
June 28th.
Yep.
Okay.
Application 2 Cousins.
2 Cousins, Inc., Molly K's. There is a legal notice to be published in tomorrow's paper. They want to include that patio area adjacent to the building as part of the licensed premises. There is an application filed by Attorney Zaroulis' office, Kebab, Inc., for premises at 1270 Westwood Street, that unit number 10. It's a matter that has to go before the Zoning Board of Appeals for parking. There is an issue with sufficient parking. This is the site, Mr. Chairman, that had the New Paradise Buffet as a tenant. And the proposed applicant is looking to open up a restaurant. In conversation with the attorney's office, they would like to have a hearing sooner than later, but because there is a matter to do with parking in the lot and all of the number of tenants that presently operate businesses at that location, there is a variance required for, they'll need at least 100 parking spaces for the size of the restaurant. So there's a hearing tentatively scheduled for the Zoning Board of Appeals for the July 9th meeting. In conversation with the attorney's office, possibly the License Commission could hold the hearing on this application for the meeting of July the 12th. It would be 3 days after the zoning board.
Do we think the zoning board will be wrapped, I'm sorry. Do we think the zoning board will be wrapped up in one meeting on this? And I only ask because I know sometimes zoning matters have a tendency to stretch out over 2 or 3 meetings, depending on...
Commissioner, you make a perfect point. I can only say that they're hanging on the possibility that they would get favorable treatment sooner than later.
So why don't we tentatively schedule it then for the 12th, and if they're not done with zoning at that point, we just won't take it up on that meeting. And we'll
Or we
move it
just
back.
continue the hearing
Right.
if we open it for that date. So, so the point being that there would be a legal notice for publication on the Friday of June 29th. This applicant is required to notify the abutters of the application. And I've given you partial copies of the application that's been filed so that the police could possibly do some
Commissioner,
background.
Is this the new Paradise downstairs? Yeah, we're going to be concerned about that.
Well, you know where to be concerned?
Yeah.
Somebody from the police department should be at the zoning.
Yeah, I'm
at the-
gonna, make
Make
note of
sure
that.
they're there to tell them that this is
Yeah, that's
a
it's
tough
been
joint.
Since
It's-
the last
it's
10 or
the
15
summer.
years,
It's
that
not
place has
much.
never worked well with
And
a full
it's-
liquor
it's a
license.
tough-
So we're going to be concerned, and I know
Good.
we'll
Well,
look
you
at
know,
the zoning.
somebody
Okay.
from the department should be at the zoning board and say, you know.
So from what I'm told by the attorney's office, July 9th is the hearing date for the zoning board. Yeah, that would be a Monday evening. So, well, you might want to have someone contact the Office of Inspectional Services to follow up on that as to the procedure scheduled.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's go. Okay. We're going to adjourn over here to take up the
video.
hearing of the Kimia Restaurant.
Kamara Restaurant.
Kamara Restaurant. Okay, we're going to resume the meeting. I just would like to hear from the other police officers on their observations. Just in your own words, you know, I'm looking at this video, and my first impression was, you know, you didn't have a lot of drunks. You had a lot of people that, you know, you get a fight and people tend to jump in the fray, I guess. I don't know. How do you feel about that?
I think it's fair to say that the combatants...
Can you introduce yourself
Yes.
and talk into the mic?
Officer David Peasley with the Lowell Police Department. I think it's fair to say that the combatants were very intoxicated. And I think that their emotions and everything was amplified because of the liquor in the system. I think that's a fair assessment.
Okay. Okay. Fair enough.
Officer Rafael Rivera, like Dave said, if alcohol wasn't in the system, presumably we wouldn't have had the problem. I believe these people were driven by the alcohol in their system. That's what led to the problem we had. They were refusing our commands. We would not do anything we said.
And do you think that they were over any legal cutoff limits?
Yes, I believe so.
Well, from the video here, you know, and I'm looking at the people on the street. They look more agitated. You know, I don't, you know, it's who the police officer made the phone call. Is that correct? Nobody from the restaurant called. The police officer called for help.
Yeah, I think.
Well, they had the duty, so they did.
The original call was made by.
Yeah.
Yes.
For help. Okay.
I think the important, I understand what you're saying, but the important point to note, and it was very clear from the tape, every minute of the incident, that woman was involved trying to help get her place under control and not have a problem. So I don't know if anyone else, in fact, in the restaurant called the police. I don't know if there were any. I mean, I'm sure.
No, and that's all well and fine. I mean, unfortunately, the officer did call for help. But you know yourself that, you know, I mean, as far as that we're concerned, you know, somebody that works for the establishment should always be designated. The moment something goes wrong, bang, they make that call. You know, don't wait for me to try to get back through the crowd to get the phone. Make the call, because, you know, I looking at the video, I can't say that, well, I don't know. I guess I can't say that the fight wouldn't have happened, but I can say that this lady would have had a very hard time getting across the floor. Very hard.
I mean, personally, I'm kind of glad that there was a detail there, because obviously this had the potential to really get ugly if there wasn't a detail there working. You know, and I think that having the detail there actually probably kept the scene from getting pretty bad. So I think that's actually a very good thing. You know, I'm still concerned that, you know, the owner here is actually a victim of a violent crime that night, and I'm not sure that I'm, you know, and in some ways it was, you know, as a result of trying to prevent a bad scene from happening. So, I mean, I think she's definitely putting herself out there to try and keep things under control. Your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts are, I kind of feel like Solomon. You're in a very difficult situation. Certainly, you know, we can't sit here and be so foolish as to not believe that alcohol didn't play a part in it. Everybody gets together, they're having a few drinks, everybody's having a laugh and a good time, and all of a sudden, you know, something like this breaks out. Unfortunately, you're on probation because of your first incident. And I'm taking that into consideration. I look at this and I see the zeal with which you tried to stop this. Of course, I'm a realist, because if it had been my business and I was on probation, I would have done everything in the world to try to stop it also, because I wouldn't want to lose my business. We haven't had to have a police response there, you know, since the last time. To me, it looks like you definitely had an agitator. hey, this girlfriend-boyfriend thing can run, sometimes a lot heavier than anything that you can find in a bottle. But in the same sense, I think it's brought to light this idea of putting a bottle of Chivas Regal and a case of beer on the table. I think we need to control. So if nothing else comes out of that, I think that, do we have to, it's illegal to do that. It's a free port. But do we have to adopt a rule or?
No,
No.
it shouldn't.
Okay.
It shouldn't happen, period.
So we need to make sure that the police department, because I have had policemen complain to me about this.
I believe originally there was some question as to whether or not it was legal in a private setting, in a
Right.
private party setting, but under no circumstance, and again, a private party
it's
would be
illegal.
a closed party. Again, that's a gray area. However, generally speaking, anything that's open to the public where they pay a fee and they're paying for drinks, anything of that nature, absolutely cannot do it any way, shape, or form. It violates state law. I can double check if it's a private party where there's no money being exchanged and it's an open bar. I'm not 100% on that. That could be a little gray. I haven't looked into that.
Okay.
I
Would you?
agree.
Just going to say certainly it is something that needs to be looked at, but I can recall when the Alcoholic Beverages Control Commission adopted what they defined as the happy hour regulation, and it was purposely set up such that the servers would not be serving 2 drinks or more to one customer. And that was the intent. And in the case of some establishments who provide a case of beer or a bottle of high-quality liquor or liqueur at the table, you have no server there, Mr. Chairman. And I think that in itself would find, you could find a violation.
Certainly.
Its purposes of a private function are traditionally, as we're accustomed to, you have an open bar, the bride's parents pay, and they have a server providing you or
Drink.
I a drink, and let's say you want to bring a couple of drinks over to the table where you're sitting at, that's when you're getting a multiple tray of drinks to bring over to the table. And that was the intent of the ABC.
Well, I think that in light of this, this would be one good thing that definitely probably should be written up or a memorandum sent to the department, to all police officers, and out to all of the bar rooms saying that this practice will not be tolerated, that it's illegal, and we bring a level playing field, because certainly this lady shouldn't, her restaurant shouldn't suffer any more than anybody else's. As I said, I feel like Solomon here, because we all certainly know what a disastrous situation this could have turned out to be. Police officer suffered major injuries. The owner, I believe, has suffered enough in the beating that she took.
Serious.
I don't know that we can all just look the other way and say, it happened. I think that we all need to learn from this. I think they need to learn from this. Myself personally, I don't want to penalize her. I don't feel in my heart and soul, and I've been accused of being too liberal, but I kind of consider myself right of Attila the Hun, and I do feel that she did everything she could. I think it's that no matter what you do, things can get out of hand. How we can prevent it maybe is by learning from it, by establishing this policy, which I think needs to be sent out, that this is not going to be tolerated anymore, that there's no customs or any of this stuff. You're in America, and this is the way we do it, and you're going to abide by our rules and the way alcohol should be served. That being said, I know that she has been in the spirit of cooperation with the police department. I think we just keep the report on file. I think that they're wise enough, they should be, to know who the troublemakers are. Hopefully, she's going to study that tape very carefully and make sure that she doesn't fall into that abyss.
Absolutely.
The problem with this type of thing, and once it happens, once something like this happens, I'm sure you knew the people that knew the New Paradise. Once it gets out of hand and you get a reputation for having fights, there's a whole gang of people that do nothing but enjoy that. They're going to go there looking for it. They did. The New Paradise, week after week. We were fortunate to be able to close that place down. Your place is not going to survive that long. I'll tell you that right now. Okay? You need to clean this up to make sure that the people come in your establishment act responsibly. You know who the troublemakers are. These guys have a right to go home at night to their family.
Uninjured.
Uninjured.
Especially, yeah.
Okay? You know, everybody knocks the policeman until they need them. You get a situation like this, they did an unbelievable job. They could have had an all-out city brawl. I think they did a remarkable job keeping it under control, and I commend you for cooperating with them. And that's one of the reasons why I feel like Solomon, that, you know, I'm going to lean the way and say, we're going to learn from this. There's no more bottles on the table. There's no more free cases of beer. And it's not going to just apply to you, so you can walk out of here knowing that everybody's on a level playing field. And if I were you, I would definitely thank these officers for what they did, because you very easily could have lost your place over this. They got them outside. You obviously didn't suffer a lot of damage. We need, and that's a congested area. There's a lot of folks live in the square up there. You know, granted, it's changed over the years. The mix of the people up in that area have changed, but there's a lot of families up in there. They deserve the peace and quiet in the evening to be able to enjoy their home. So we need to be ever vigilant, okay? So I'm going to put this report, the police report and everything, as far as I'm concerned, it's going to be placed on file. Hopefully, we're not going to have to refer back to it. You're still going to be on probation. I know. The other case, I blame you for. The other case, I blame you for. You had direct responsibility for it. You served him until he went to sleep on you. The person that was in there taking care of that should have been aware of that. Okay? He might have had a couple of drinks before he walked in. You've got to be ever vigilant. It's the type of business today that you have to stay on top of. So what I'd like to do is to make a motion that we place this report on file in their folder.
Right. I'll second the motion, but I'd also add that if there's somebody in your establishment and you have a detail police officer who knows that person or that person is known to them, they're generally not known to them because they were an Eagle Scout in the community, okay? It might be a good idea early on to really sit there and do a little triage and decide whether or not it's worth having that person in your establishment as a patron. Maybe if they're a known troublemaker, early in the night, before anything could start, you may want to start exercising your right as the owner of an establishment to eliminate trouble, to keep somebody out. I would hope that you've worked with the DA's office in getting a no trespass order, all right, so that this person doesn't come back to your establishment. I'd hope that one of the conditions of his release is that he's not allowed back in your establishment. Check with the DA's office, and if that's not the case, I would urge you at this point, if this person is known to the police department, if he's known to our officers, you don't want him floating around causing trouble, all right? Nip it in the bud earlier, before something breaks out.
Okay?
Thank you very much. We appreciate that, Mr. Chairman. I guarantee you, and as I said, she has regularly hired police officers.
Oh, we know this, but you can't pass that responsibility all on the policeman. You have to understand that the policemen are your line of defense. The people that work for you, they're your first line of defense, okay?
She's thanked them very
all right.
much. She really has.
All right.
She means
all right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All in
Okay.
favor of the motion, yes?
Yes,
Okay.
yes,
Yeah.
thank you. Okay? So we'll place it on file, and, you know, hopefully we won't have to go back to it. All right? Anything else? Benjamin, we're coming home. Oop, motion to adjourn.